stars are brightly
I want to begin this reflection this evening, my Christmas reflection, by just saying how grateful I am to be here with all of you to mark this most sacred holiday, even in this very strange year and in this most unusual way once again. It would be easy and even understandable to say, to heck with all of this faith stuff. I mean, I can still do the presents and Christmas, but can you really believe in all that religious nonsense, this idea that there is a light that shines in the darkness and that darkness cannot overcome? Can you really believe that after the year that we've had? All the struggle and death. And so since this is the reality into which we've been thrust this year, I invite us to begin here with the reality presented to us in that video. Because the wonder of all wonders tonight, the message that gets reiterated over and over again in all of the small, easy-to-miss details of our scripture stories is that, unlike our world, God is not ashamed of the lowly or of our lowliness. God is not only unashamed of our messiness, God chooses to enter into our world through the very cracks of our brokenness. Yes, it is right to begin here. For as the great Leonard Cohen once sang, there is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. And in fact, our Christmas stories remind us that it has always been into such broken and hurting places that God chooses to be born among us, that the power of this truth is known most powerfully. To a weary, traumatized, and displaced people surrounded by the ravages of war, on them, the prophet Isaiah dares to proclaim, the light of God shines. The chosen ones, not on the powerful, conquering kings and their armies, but on these forgotten ones of the world. And it's to a poor, exhausted and lonely couple beneath the silent night sky of Bethlehem. You who is least among Judah, says the prophet Micah. It's into the heavy darknesses of life, in such places that our stories remind us that we are not alone. Even more, it is precisely there that we discover a light that all the darkness in the universe cannot put out. It is there when we are at the end of our rope that we discover a power, a greater power that is both beyond and yet within ourselves. And I want to bring this simple but powerful truth to life with two stories this evening. Two stories that have been unsettling and inspiring me in this season. In the late 1930s and early 40s, as Hitler and his white nationalist Nazi party rose to power and ravaged the world, casting a blood-stained shadow of death upon human history, as we know, many Jews went into hiding. For how long they could not have known. Imagine, if you can, being confined to the cramped darkness of a cold attic, of a closet, of a cellar. The days and weeks and months blurring together for what would be years. Birthdays passing, holidays passing, family and friends passing, all while being isolated and alone. in Cologne, Germany, where a number of Jews hid themselves for the entire duration of the war, there was afterward found an inscription etched into a cellar wall by one of them. I believe, it said, I believe in the sun even when it's not shining. I believe in love even when feeling it not. I believe in God even when he is silent. A haunting and defiant witness to the Spirit of life, to the Spirit of God surging within, willing life, right there amidst the shadows of death. And who could write such words but one who has himself walked through that valley? Only one who has known the life-squelching forces of death could bear witness to a faith capable of defying it. Like a single candle defying all the darkness in the universe. Rather than diminishing our own suffering, our own challenges, as if they are nothing by comparison, does not such a witness to faith, to the Spirit of life surging through ordinary people, does it not give us courage? Does it not give us strength to face our own difficulties? Yes, the weight of the world's suffering, the shadow cast by death, is immense. And yet again, all the darkness in the universe cannot put out this light. Similarly, in one of his memories from the Holocaust, the great Elie Wiesel, who not only survived, but who became a moral conscience for the world in the latter half of the 20th century. In one of his harrowing memories from Auschwitz, he recounts how he watched a fellow prisoner trade his daily ration of bread for a couple of potatoes, 2 potatoes and a tiny bit of oil, which he used to make a makeshift menorah for Hanukkah. A set of 8 candles to light one each day in the winter's deepening darkness. Wiesel recounts how he couldn't believe the sacrifices that this man was making to observe the holidays, giving up his daily bread, literally, to light a candle. A stunned young Elie Wiesel asked him, Hanukkah in Auschwitz? A celebration of light and of God's presence in hell on earth? Especially in Auschwitz, the man replied. Of all the things to say in the cold darkness of that cellar, I believe in the sun, even when it's not shining. I believe in love, even when I don't feel it. I believe in God, even when God is silent. Of all the things to do amidst the horrors of the concentration camp, to light a candle? Wiesel recounts how this simple yet defiant act of faith in the face of death changed the way that he celebrated this holiday and the way that he lived forever. It's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. William Watkinson preached in 1907. Friends, on this night, amidst what has been a challenging year for all of us, may those who have lived the power of this daring, defiant, and simple truth unsettle and inspire us all. To hear anew, as if for the first time, the simple promises of our all too familiar Christmas stories. To rediscover our own faith, and to reconnect with the resilient life force surging deep within each of us. Such that this year it would not only be how we celebrate this holiday that's different, that's changed, but also the very way in which we live every other day henceforth. Indeed, there is a light, the Gospel of John proclaims. There is a light that shines amidst every darkness. And as much as it might seem otherwise, all the darkness in the world cannot put it out. Friends, may you also know this promise, this truth proclaimed by our ancestors in the faith long ago. May you experience it seeping through the cracks of your own broken and weary souls, giving you the courage and strength to then go and light candles to shine in every darkness around you. For your peace and joy. For the peace and joy of all the world.